Going live.
Yes, we are.
This is different.
Okay, we'll see when people
I'll start like this.
popping on.
And you can look on yours too. Guess what day it is, everybody? It's October 1st, 2024. That means today is Memory Bound's 23rd anniversary.
Unbelievable.
So, I know. I'm Kelly, and Diane's here, and we
here.
are well, Janet's an original too, but we are two of the originals that have lasted 23 years. So welcome to our Facebook Live this morning. It's all about Yippee for 23. And honestly, everyone, who would have ever thought we would be here 23 years later after that first day of our grand opening?
It's gone so fast.
Oh, Diane, it's flown by. And
Oh
we
my
were
God,
so young. We were just so super young then.
We were just having, Dawn was just having babies.
Yeah, yes. So, well, you know what? I didn't plan on this, but since you mentioned Dawn, I would like to just share a little bit about the origins of Memory Bound.
Yes, I'm sure that.
So
really
it was actually more than 23 years ago. Dawn and I were neighbors and friends, and we decided to do something on the side, something kind of fun. So we got a machine to that puts names on albums, on your scrapbook albums, and with the hot foil that it imprinted. We went to some stores, we went to some crops and imprinted albums. So give us a shout out if we imprinted one of your albums, because we touched a lot. That's how it all began. Just for something fun to do. And then we decided, well, why not have a crop? Because back in those days, the only crops were creative memories. And Dawn and I thought, well, why don't we have a crop? Is there any reason why it can only be creative memories? So we had our first crop at one of the schools here in town, and we were hoping for, like maybe 50 people, and 500 attended. So it was like, wow. So then we purchased a online store called Scrappers Haven, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit. So we had an online store, and we added a business partner, Barb, another friend. We all were neighbors. So then we went from there to another crop event with 1,000 people. And then it's like, should we open a store? And my thoughts were, if we didn't try it, we would look back someday and we would regret it. And we'd say, what if?
Yep.
So Memory Bound was born on October 1st.
Either of you working? Was Dawn still working?
No, I don't think Dawn was working. I was working, but I
was working.
I thought I would keep working my so-called real job, but it didn't work. It didn't work to keep working. So Memory Bound became a full-time thing right off the start. So that is the story of Memory Bound. Here we are. We expanded in our first year. Barb left, I don't know, after a couple years, because she was still working full-time, and it was kind of a lot. And then Dawn retired about 3 years ago. So wow. Dawn retired, and now, Diane, we're still here.
I know.
We're still here. Which I'm happy
to work full time here a year after.
Oh, it was just a year?
Yeah. And
oh my gosh.
It was like in October.
Okay, so about a year. Because Diane had a real job at the school, and then she came here and became our store manager. Yeah. And thank goodness she did. And
I never looked
You
back.
had no idea the difference it made.
They want to know about how we picked the name.
Oh, I wish I would have brought my list. Yeah. We had, we brainstormed, we had a list of names.
Pages.
And they're written on like a scratch paper. And they're really crazy. And actually Dawn's husband, Dennis, is the one that came up with Memory Bound. And it had to do, some of it was because we were imprinting, because that was our name before we opened. And, you bind your memories in your albums. And so that's kind of where we got the name. And I'll have to look I have the list. And like I said, it's on a scratchy piece of paper with all the different ideas we had. And, you have to realize there was quite a few paper craft stores back in the
Yeah.
day. But what was interesting, you were scrapbooking or you were stamping, but you were not both. And Ankeny had a stamping store here in our town. And Dawn and I talked to them because if they were going to get into scrapbooking, then we were not going to open a store. And they said, nope, they're just doing stamping. And look at it now, Diane. It's like everything.
And we had a really big store, stamping store in West Des Moines.
Yes, there was a really
That was
nice one
the
in Des Moines.
So we had 2 nice ones.
Right. But I never really stamped. I just
No.
scrapbooked in the beginning.
No, didn't even know what hardly an ink pad was.
Yes, I think I took a class once, an in-home class, but now, my gosh, you guys, Memory Bound is scrapbooking, it's stamping, it's card making, it's DIY.
Home decor.
Home decor, we have fabric.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wow, it has grown. It has definitely grown.
Janet and Dawn also worked together. That's how we got Janet.
Yeah, Janet is an original also, and she worked with Dawn, and Dawn recruited her. Lucky for us.
Yes.
Dawn, great job.
Yeah.
So, but it is our 23rd anniversary today, and one thing that we are doing, I think you know how much I love ephemera. So we have an Echo Park Birthday Boy ephemera pack that's going out free with any order, or if you come into our store, we'd love to give you one of these also. And we opened it, but I don't think you're going to be able to see it because we've got our camera, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Here, I'll show you the back of the package. And you can see it's got birthday cakes, happy birthday, all kinds of things that you would want to celebrate for a birthday. And it is our birthday today. So we're doing that. And I'm just saying yippee for 23 because I'm so happy about it.
It is quite a milestone in
know.
today's business environment.
There is a store I know in Colorado, Simple Pleasures. So if you're ever in the Colorado Springs area, be sure and stop there. And they've been open maybe like 26 or 27 years. So they way surpassed Memory Bound.
You
And
know,
there might be others out there.
it all started with the home.
Oh, Creative Memories.
Creative
Okay,
Memories.
how many of you started out your scrapbooking via a Creative Memories party? Because that's how I started.
Yep. Me too.
So give us a comment or a thumbs up if that's how it happened. But really, today we're going to share some things that you sent us, comments, and I do want to say thank you to all of the Memory Bound staff, and because I think a lot of you interact with them and you kind of know that they're pretty great. We
have an awesome staff.
We do. Oh my gosh.
We're very, very lucky.
At our retreat last weekend, I don't know how many people told me what a great staff we have, and that you don't do 23 years without wonderful people. So thank you to everybody that has worked at Memory Bound and is working at Memory Bound. Thank you to all of you for supporting Memory Bound, whether you're on Facebook right now, live or later, or maybe you're not on Facebook, but you shop and support Memory Bound. We really appreciate it. I got to say thank you to Doug because he always had a real job, so I could work at Memory Bound. He had the real job of the family, and he's always been very supportive. So,
and now he's working.
And now he's here helping us
he
in
never
person.
Really retire.
Yeah, he went from Wells Fargo to Memory Bound. And you guys, it's quite a change because it's all women here.
And he's a really good sport. Working with, 18, 19 ladies.
Yes, he is pretty good. So I do
really
want to
good
say
sport.
especially thank you to Doug.
Yeah.
Because seriously, I don't think we'd still be here if he wasn't as helpful as he is and supportive.
And IT.
Yes, he does IT.
Oh my gosh.
He fixes lights. He does toilets. He orders things. He does payroll. He'll run an errand, like go down and get me something to drink if I need it, bring my coffee in the morning, whatever it might be. So thank you, Doug.
Yeah, it was
And
great.
Doug, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
He even makes my breakfast, you guys. I shouldn't even tell you that.
And lunch.
Yes, he does. Your lunch is ready. So anyway, that's pretty good. But you know what? 23 years ago, Diane, we didn't have Facebook.
No.
It's crazy how things have changed with social media.
No.
So let's see, I remember we had newspaper advertising.
We did a billboard.
We did a billboard.
Yeah.
We were on radio. We did some radio ads.
A lot of direct marketing.
Yep. We mailed out newsletters every month.
Yes.
And
oh my God. Doing
remember
those
that?
newsletters.
Janet?
Oh my.
Kudos to Janet because
she was our writer.
Oh, she did amazing newsletters for us. Super amazing. Let's see. Newspaper, billboard. We even had a little shot on TV for a while. So it's kind of crazy, though, how things have changed.
And we expanded the store
about a year later,
after.
yes.
So we had 2 bays, and now we have 3 bays.
Yeah.
And how many, I don't know how many square footage.
We have 4,200 square feet.
4,200.
So we have
and it
3
is
bays.
jam-packed.
Okay, well, now that you mention that, let's just say it. Right now, today, well, maybe a couple days ago, actually, Memory Bound has more product than it has ever had in 23 years.
Yeah.
The reports, you can look at a report, it's factual. We have more stuff all at once than we've ever had. So it's a great time to shop.
And the ladies have gotten very creative on displaying.
Yes. And Diane, today we got those 2 winter collections that we're going to find a home for.
They've been sitting in my office for
yeah. So we'll show you those. We'll show you those tomorrow.
Few days.
Tomorrow, Alicia's here.
Yes.
So that's going to be a treat.
Tim Holtz, Halloween and Christmas.
If you like Halloween and Christmas and you love Tim Holtz and you love
It'll
Alicia,
be good.
she's back. Okay, we already talked about the history. So I've got the comments to show. I guess that's our next thing. So yesterday I put up a post here on Facebook about if you had a memory or tell us how you learned about Memory Bound and let us know. And oh, wait, before we do that. Anyhow, I asked you to let us know, and we have, I think, 18 pages of comments. So I'll try to go through
and
those.
there's lots and lots.
Is there
now.
more coming?
They loved our newsletters.
I loved them too. I started looking at them, and they were really, really nice. Maybe we'll have to start that up again. You know, you kind of we've gone from that to more of a social, digital type information, and we never had everything on our website like we do now, like our calendar and our blog. So what I wanted to show was some of the logos that we've had. This was Scrappers Haven. I mentioned that we went and purchased an online store. We drove.
Division of.
Yeah, I know, a division of memory. Doesn't that sound cool though? Like we're some big corporation.
Yeah. Oh my
So that was
gosh.
our kind of our first stepping out of our box adventure, and we rented like a U-Haul truck, and we drove to Michigan, and we purchased all the product from.
With my mom.
Yes, and Diane and Dawn's mom was there, and she was a riot.
She loved it.
She was so sweet, you guys. She picketed. I can't remember what she did, if she had a sign, but she did picket for the laborers that were helping us pack up. So that's kind of Scrappers Haven. And then when we opened up Memory Bound, this was what some of our, we didn't really have a logo, but this was the top of our newsletter. And believe it or not, that picket fence, Diane, do you remember we had a white picket fence that went across the front of our store?
Yes, the front of our store.
So we had our white picket fence. And then we worked with an artist, and there was our Scrappers Haven logo. And our logo has, it's changed colors, but it hasn't changed much. But you might see a change in the future. So I just printed off, we've got our black and white. And can you see that okay, Diane, if I hold it right there?
Yep.
So we had our black and white. And when we opened, we were purple and green.
Yes.
That was the hot color of the time. So we were purple and green. And then this really didn't show super well, but it probably look okay on the camera. Then we went to the browns.
More
We
vintage.
went through our brown stage.
We were vintage at that time.
Yeah. And then recently, we went to watercolor for Crafting More in 20. I didn't even bring the Crafting More in 2024 logo.
I don't know where.
And then
yet.
we've got our traditional kind of a deep orangey red and our teal. So our logo has colors have changed.
Style of logo.
Same logo, different colors, different times. Same store, same people, same wonderfulness. Okay, so is there any questions?
Yeah, they want to know if we've always been at the same location.
We have, although we've had people that have told us we haven't been at the same location, but we have.
Yep.
So we've always been here.
Oh, they still have all their newsletters.
Oh my gosh.
Bunny does.
That's cool.
Okay, we need to zoom in a little bit. I don't know if we
Can you just push it forward?
can. We've got Doug set us up on
We're set up a little different.
tripod here.
I don't know how zoomed in I want people to be on me, but
Okay.
All right.
I think we're good.
How's that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start sharing what you shared, and I was pretty happy with so many comments from people. All right, Diane's chuckling.
Oh my gosh. That is how I was given a life sentence in paper crafting with no parole.
Life sentence with no parole. I love it.
That's pretty cool.
You know, before we share these, I think we need to give a shout out to everybody in the Southeast that has met with the hurricane. And we had a message from Mary from Maine, who's one of our very top followers. Everyone knows Mary from Maine. And we got a message that Mary's son lost everything in the hurricane. So
the pictures are devastating.
Prayers.
Devastating.
Oh my gosh. And towns, sorry to interrupt with all of this, but we do need to say it. Those towns, I was at my mom and dad's last night, and they always have the news on, and we were watching the news. And town people that they can't even get to their towns to bring them food and water and stuff. So I'm thinking tornadoes are not too bad, but there are people in Iowa that probably would not agree with that.
We've had some major weather issues this year.
Yes, there's been a lot of things
all over the country.
So anyway, we are so sorry for everybody in the hurricanes. Our prayers go out to you, and
definitely.
I can't imagine. We had Diane, a couple of our cropping friends this last weekend at the retreat were talking about the hurricane and the floods, and they said, jokingly about their scrapbooks, they said they would get them up on the roof. They don't care about themselves, but they would get their scrapbooks up on the roof so they could be rescued.
I've often thought about if there was a fire or something, the first thing I would grab, and
it's grab yourself.
Yep.
Okay. So
Lots of good messages here.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we talked a little bit about the history of Memory Bound. We told you that we're giving away birthday ephemera today for our 23rd anniversary if you're just joining us. Yippee, Memory Bound is 23. Never, when we opened the doors, never thought I'd be sitting here saying, Yippee, we're 23. But it's kind of exciting, and I'm proud of it.
We're still working when I'm 70.
Yes, we're still here. Okay. So I'm going to share some of these with you just because I thought they were kind of nice. And this one is from Michelle, and she's talking about her and her mom, Crafty Kathy. They visited in 2017 or 18.
And they're lovely, lovely people.
And in 2020, when the pandemic was shutting down, Michelle and her husband were supposed to go on their 25th wedding anniversary trip, but they decided not to fly because of, you guys remember how bad it was. So instead, they took a day trip to Ankeny, Iowa. So her husband was going to another store here, and so they were, but COVID had other plans. Memory Bound was updating customers on daily videos, and I told my mom about them, and we watch your videos and chat about them. So Michelle and her mom, Crafty Kathy, have been very awesome followers and supporters of Memory Bound. But I think it's kind of funny they were going on their anniversary trip, and they ended up coming to Ankeny, Iowa. There's another story like that, too. And then here's Dawn. And Dawn is from Minnesota, and she said she'd heard about Memory Bound, but she never really thought about making a 5-hour drive from Minnesota to come here. And she also never realized that she and her daughters had been so close to Memory Bound on some of their Iowa junking trips. But one day, about 5 years ago, they randomly found one of our videos on Facebook. And so many of you commented that you found us from videos on Facebook, which is crazy. So she's been watching and shopping ever since online. And Dawn has the She Shed. So Dawn and her friends go to her She Shed, and they craft, and she has sent us pictures. She decorates it for Christmas. Awesome. And they've even had 3 girls' trips from Minnesota just to come to Memory Bound. And what was really cool is Dawn and her daughter were at our retreat this weekend for the first time ever. So thank you, Dawn.
Yep.
Nancy told us that she found Memory Bound because she was Googling heritage albums. nobody does heritage albums better than Janet and Memory Bound.
And
she
awesome.
Stumbled upon Janet's video, and that she says that was the beginning of her marvelous Memory Bound journey. So Janet has inspired many people to do their heritage. And if you don't know anything about that, go out to our blog. Janet can link it. She's got series, and she makes it doable. You know, that stuff's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Let's see. And she says, but it doesn't stop there, that in April of 2020, she and her husband had their 40th wedding anniversary. Here we go. And they planned a trip to Pella, Iowa, because she's Dutch. But her main motive for going to Pella was to come to Memory Bound. Because what would you say, Diane? We're half hour, maybe 40 minutes?
Probably 45 minutes to an hour. Yeah.
So in 2020, from the Twin Cities was their first visit to Memory Bound. And she said her husband happily drove all over Ankeny, wasting time while she shopped at our store.
And Ankeny probably at that time wasn't real big, but
so their Hawaii trip turned into an Iowa trip.
Oh my!
So what could be better? It is heaven after all. She says, "Thank you, Kelly, for your fantastic store, wonderful staff, and fabulous morning videos." So another Minnesota person. And then this is Carla. And she was attending a crafting retreat in Minnesota, and somebody else told her about Memory Bound and raved about us. So she checked out our Facebook videos and signed up for a newsletter, and she's been hooked ever since. And Carla also told me that she was at an event where Simple Stories was, and Diane, I don't know if I told you this, but she called and said that Simple Stories raved about Memory Bound.
Oh,
the
my.
owners of Simple Stories told
That's
her
cool.
how much they loved us.
We love Simple Stories too.
We do. Okay, and here, now Marla is funny. Marla she found us 7 years ago when she stopped in Ankeny on their way to Utah, and she was with her son. And let's see, we passed it on our way to get something to eat, and her son said, "Mom, there's a scrapbook store, and if they're open when we're done, we need to stop." And she says she was hooked. So then that's Marla and Marcy are sisters, and they drive here from Ohio to come to our retreats. And Marcy rode along with Marla. Marcy was, I'm just going to say it. I know their story. I'm not even going to read what she said. So Marcy rode along with Marla so she didn't have to drive here by herself to come to one of our retreats. She was not a crafter. Now I think it's maybe 3 retreats later, and Marcy made
comes
a
every
million
time.
cards.
Yep.
And they're just hilarious because they're sisters and they have a lot of fun. And they talked about Marcy cleaning out Marla's glove box on their drive over here and stuff she had and everything. So thank you, Marla and Marcy. Okay. And Claudia says she's making her very first in-person visit this weekend, Diane. She's coming from
fun.
Austin, Texas.
Wow.
And she found us, her first video was during Bee Week. Remember Bee Crafty? She says Maggie and Chris were singing the Baby Bumblebee song, and Katie comes bounding in wearing a bee costume, shaking her little stinger. And Claudia says, I thought to myself, I have found my people.
Oh, no.
I forgot about the bee costume. You never know what's going to happen
Katie's had several costumes.
Yes, Katie does dress up occasionally for us. Bunny, who we had a lot of fun with at the previous retreat, she's not sure when she discovered Memory Bound, but she's happy she did. Your store is the best. Your staff is amazing. She loves our daily videos, and she loves our retreats. And she says, thanks for all you've done. Happy anniversary. And she says, by the way, if you come to Memory Bound in person, it takes hours to see everything. So plan a long trip if you come for a visit. And Elena says, a happy anniversary to Kelly and the exceptional staff. You accepted me into your fold of crafters around 2019, the beginning of COVID. We were thrust into a period of isolation, and you were a beacon of light and joy. And she's in California, so she gets up at 7:30 in the morning to watch our lives, and it's a great way to start her day. And your staff are exceptional and appreciated by everyone they come in contact with. And you guys, I'm going to just say there's a few, I probably am not going to catch everybody's, But there were so many that said they found us during the pandemic.
Yep.
And,
There's a lot of stories.
Oh my gosh. So many of you talked about like Elena being the beacon of light or something to look forward to. And that is really, really sweet.
And even like 5 years ago, we would have never, ever dreamt of having a video every day.
Oh my gosh.
We did it. We started out with a video on Wednesdays.
Yes.
And that was even hard.
That was hard to come up with stuff.
To come up with stuff 1 day a week, let alone 5 days a week.
I know. I don't even know when we started our Wednesday live videos. I can't tell you what year it was.
No.
We had our Tuesday Technique video on YouTube, and we've kind of let our YouTube videos, we haven't really been out there updating a whole lot because we've been doing this. This is what we're doing instead of classes. You get free classes about every day, but not today. We're not having a class today. Carla says, with so many stores closing, that it's quite an accomplishment that we stayed open. And she found us during COVID, like a lot of people, and she watches us on the laters. And she looks forward to receiving her boxes, and she feels like she knows each of us. And we're on her bucket list for a visit from Georgia.
There was just somebody else who came. Oh, Janie Jones, I think, came a couple years ago, and that was on her bucket list.
It was on her bucket list, and she's been back.
Yeah.
Penny says she's never been to our store, but she watches our daily broadcasts. I love it. We call it our studio, our broadcast, our TV show, our channel.
I'm not sure when people walk in if they're disappointed when they see what our video table is.
If you could see where we're at, it's not like a studio.
We do have lights now that kind of look professional.
We have lights. They look very professional. I trip over them occasionally.
Yes.
And so we never had microphones. We got microphones. If we turn them on, they work really well.
We're getting better, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're good today for sure. Yeah. Lisa also found us during the pandemic, and she says, Diane, that we probably don't realize how many people that we have affected, and in a positive way, with our morning shows and our product ideas, laughter. And you're right, we probably don't have any idea.
No. Karen's husband calls us the girls. I have breakfast every day with the girls, as my husband calls us.
It's funny because I also had somebody tell me this weekend that her family knows to leave her alone at 9:30 Central Time. You do not bother her at all. So let's see. Audra also found us during the pandemic, and she loves listening to our videos and seeing how we use products. I'm sure my husband isn't happy that I found you, but my craft room is. I love that. And she's made lots of projects for craft nights with her friends. So lots of the things we've done, she's remade, and they have all loved them. So thanks for being around, being lovely, and making our lives cheery. And Melinda, now this goes back a little bit. Melinda first met Memory Bound because we had a second store in Ames, Iowa, about 30 minutes north of the store that we're at now. And she was a big fan and still is. And she's glad that we can think outside the box. And she comes down to Ankeny to get her crafting fix. Susan said her daughter-in-law found us because she was searching for a store closer and found Memory Bound. And they watch and shop and came to our store last month. We can say last month now, Diane, because it's October 1st.
Yes.
Sandy says she's been coming to Santa's North Pole Village for several years.
Which is in
with
November.
Her girlfriends, and she doesn't remember what year she started coming to Memory Bound before going to her girlfriend's house. But she makes sure she comes here before she goes to the craft show. And she does live an hour and a half from here, but she always makes sure she stops at Memory Bound. Now, Diane, maybe we should mention the Santa's North Pole Craft Show. It's the first Saturday of November.
Always.
And we have a huge holiday open house here at Memory Bound. So if you're coming to Santa's North Pole, come to Memory Bound. If you're coming to Memory Bound, go to Santa's North Pole. It's at...
And all the stores then have Christmas open houses.
Yeah, everything in Ankeny. It's a
fun
day. It is.
Yep.
And we'd love to see you.
Yeah.
Kay doesn't know how long she's been coming to Memory Bound, but more often since the videos. And Kay comes quite often.
Yep.
Just saw Kay. And she never leaves empty-handed, and I will attest to that also.
She just lives up the street.
So we love to see her. And Susan says, happy anniversary. Her late husband was a proud Cyclone fan, which is in Ames, Iowa State University. So she found our Ames store and then rediscovered us during COVID. And she's watched faithfully from Minnesota ever since. And then Lisa attended a crop that we hosted maybe before we opened our store. So Lisa has been a fan quite a while and has known me and Dawn for quite a while. Been scrapbooking store, best scrapbooking store around. So thank you, Lisa.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and read all these.
Are people liking this? Should I keep doing it? Are we okay?
There's a lot of messages,
Okay.
and I'm not going to read them all.
I'll have to go back and read them.
Kelly will go back. There's just story after story.
Well, we'll try. I mean, I don't want to bore people because I enjoy this, but I don't know if you do. But I've already read them all once. Loris, which I love that name, Loris, because it's not Lois, it's Loris. She found us during the pandemic and when we were part of Maker Mania, which we did that several years ago. And it was a much needed crafty connection in the outside world, so we helped her with that. And she comes in from the West Coast every morning at 7:30 a.m. Let's see, she likes our online store, our original kits. She loved Merry Makers last year, and she's already signed up for this year, so.
We're working on it.
Diane's been working really hard on Merry Makers, you guys. And Janet has, and everybody has, really. If she ever gets near Iowa, she makes sure that her travel route runs through Ankeny.
Ankeny's a pretty good location.
It is.
We're really easy to find.
We're just a few minutes off of I-80 or I-35, so.
Very
Jennifer also found us from the pandemic, and she shops online. But Diane, I think you'll remember this, that her husband drove from California to Illinois. I don't know if it was a business trip. He stopped here at Memory Bound and FaceTimed Jennifer to help her shop via FaceTime. And we even got their picture taken. We took a picture of him and her on his phone and stuff like that. That was really fun. So Jennifer, you need to send him back through again, and we'll help you out again. This is another good story from Janet. She was a teacher, and during her favorite memory of parent-teacher conferences. And I wouldn't think that would be a fun time for teachers. I don't know. I was never a teacher. But during one of her very few unoccupied moments while waiting for the next parent, she was flipping through one of the many scrapbooking magazines that used to exist. And when the next parent commented on it when she dug out her daughter's grade report, then they chatted about stamping, and she mentioned our store to Janet. And as a time payback for working Monday and Thursday, 8 to 8, teachers got Friday off. So as a treat to her, she headed to Ankeny to see what the mom had raved about. And she said it was delightful, and she's been hooked ever since for about 20 years.
Oh, my gosh.
So
cool story.
Yeah. Linda found us in the beginning of 2024. Linda's a new viewer, and she hasn't missed a video since. She loves everything, the laughter, the specials. Sarah found us when she was in 2005 when she's working on her wedding scrapbook. And Sarah is a local yokel, so she comes into the store. But this is funny, you guys, because she now feels like Norm from Cheers. Because when she walks in, we all know her.
Oh, that's good.
And she feels very fortunate to have a local store. And I think sometimes you don't really realize. I take it for granted, don't you, Diane?
Yes, definitely.
You know, most people don't have a local store.
Yep.
Okay, Cheryl lucked out because her daughter moved to Ankeny for a career, so they kept driving by her store, and she was so curious about it that she finally found a break from moving her daughter into her apartment and snuck over to see Memory Bound. And her pocketbook has never been the same. Let's see. Jan found us at the beginning of COVID also, like a lot of people. And having Memory Bound to look forward to, she said, really got her through the pandemic. And it was a tough time for everyone, and that we were a lifeline. And it's hard to say that without shedding a few tears, because we hear that a lot. Yeah. And Diane will agree, it makes us feel pretty special.
Well, we have made lifelong friends.
Well, and she also goes on to tell us that in June, she had surgery for breast cancer, and having our lives got her through a difficult time, and she looks forward to seeing us every morning at 10:30 Eastern Standard Time, and she schedules her activities. She says there's no stores in Virginia, so hopefully she'll come see us. And Jan, I'm really happy that Memory Bound helped you out during tough times. Shannon also, pandemic lockdown, found us. I didn't geez, our videos, Diane.
I know.
People must have been sitting around looking for craft videos. But her only complaint, Shannon's only complaint, is that we are a long way from California. So maybe one of these days. And Diane said a friend told her about this on her way home to Minneapolis from St. Louis, so she stopped. Spent an hour, first time, found everything she wanted, and everyone was friendly, and she'll be back again. And Candy said happy anniversary. Her daughter went to college in Des Moines at Drake University. So come to see Memory Bound and visit your daughter while you're here shopping at Memory Bound. Shannon's been, it was 22 years ago, so almost our opening day. She knows that because her stepson was turning 2, and they were getting ready for his birthday, and she's making invitations for him. Oh my gosh, Diane, do you remember the charm bracelet promotion we had?
Yes.
She still has her charm bracelet with those. We had a promotion where you could get charms if you did this or that.
Maggie just found some of the bracelets.
She found some of them?
Yes.
I gotta find my bracelet.
Yes.
So that's a great memory, Shannon. Thank you.
If you look back, there are so many. I mean,
there's
many.
It would be fun, Diane, for us just to brainstorm all the things we've done like that. Rita found out from Crafty Kathy, and you might know Crafty Kathy is a top fan, watches us every day, and they were just here for the retreat this last weekend. And let's see, so she loved the retreat also, and Diane has been here a few times. She retired in November of 2020 and began watching every day then. So how many of you are watching from work? Because I was talking to someone at the retreat, and her boss was around, so she couldn't watch for a couple days. She said it's fun, and everyone seems to enjoy working together, and that is really true.
It is, and we have so many different styles, which I think is really cool. Several people have commented on that it's not all one style.
Yeah,
we
there's
all
something
have
for everyone.
There is.
I think that's really cool. If you're just joining us, it's Yippee for 23, everybody. And we're just sharing some of your comments. And I want to share this one because this is from Donna from Iowa City. And she found us while driving to Jordan Creek Mall during the pandemic. She looked forward to our morning videos every day, loves the demos, and she loves mini albums and mixed media are her favorite. And Donna, we love you too. And Gloria says it's the happiest place on earth. And she said she used to come in and take classes and things. And now we have our morning videos, so you can watch them live or later and learn all kinds of things. Then she kind of went away, and then she came back when she was on her way home from an Iowa State University game and saw our storefront. And she said she saw it and realized Memory Bound is still there.
Yep.
And she screamed at him to stop so they could stop, but it was 9:30 at night, so she came back by herself. And a new crafting journey began. And Barbara doesn't know when she started watching the videos, but she has not stopped. She loves the blog, and she's giving Janet a big shout out to the blog. So maybe, Janet, you could link the blog for people, which you can go to that from our memorybound.com, but it is a great resource, and Janet keeps it up with our daily videos.
Lori, I did not keep scraps 23 years ago. No.
But she does now.
I do now.
Okay, you guys, 1 year for our holiday party. A lot of times the staff holiday party, we have joke gifts and things. And I don't know where we had got it, but someone had given Dawn this big bag of scraps. And I mean, scraps like half this size and we honored Diane with that for a holiday gift, and that was really fun.
I had a purpose, but now that I do more smaller mini type albums, now I have
She does have scraps.
I do have scraps.
She scrapped her scrap thing. Let's see. Denise can't remember when she started, but she feels like she knows all of us personally, and I do hear that a lot. And I'm just going to tell you, what you see is what you get. You know, I say things I shouldn't say. We all do.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I go home and I'll hear, I can't believe you said that. But so thank you very much.
We're women. We can do that.
We can do it. Yeah, we're not. This isn't a big corporate place. We can say things and get in trouble.
Corinne, we don't edit.
Yeah, we can't edit.
We can't edit.
We don't have anybody like they do on the award shows. You know, the Academy Awards or whatever, where they can mark them out.
We don't have cue cards either.
No, we don't have cue cards. I actually do better without cue cards. But anyway,
did we ever have cue cards?
I don't. Katie had some notes for me once.
Oh yeah,
with our
Kelly's good at ad-libbing.
Katie, Shane, and Kellyanne, public radio. All right, we've got a few more here. Corinne was living in Arkansas but doing consulting work in Iowa, and the hotel walls started getting very long for the weekend, so she drove to Des Moines looking for a scrapbook store, and she found Memory Bound, and the rest is history. And Nancy's been coming to our store a long time, but she remembers coming for a Diane Revley class, and she remembers the class was full, and she called us anyway and talked to Dawn, and she would check, and luckily she was able to get her in, and she drove from Kansas City for that class and has been coming here ever since.
Well, the stories, I mean,
are you
guys they're just all over, or tons of them.
Well, and you know, I have to say, gracious. Dawn's not here anymore, but she's a huge part of this.
Yes.
She's only been gone 3 years, something like that, but she's still a huge part of Memory Bound. Tina makes a 4.5-hour drive twice a year, takes a weekend out of her busy life to take care of her and a road trip, and she sings along to her music coming here. Anna lives in Columbus, Ohio, and she found us from Angela at Creative Chaos in Circleville, Ohio. So if you're in that area, Creative Chaos is a fun store, and Angela is just a blast. I know her from being another store owner, so be sure and check that out if you're in that area. And Vicki remembers going to the church. Diane, do you remember when we had the church event?
Yeah.
And it was called A Taste of Scrapbooking.
Oh, yes.
And we had a recipe book class, and it was cropping. It was lots of fun. And Michelle, okay, you guys might be jealous here, but Michelle used to live 1 block from Memory Bound. So she could shop. She's been shopping with us from the very beginning. She doesn't know how many times she's been here, but cheers to 23 years. And Jody started 13 years ago when somebody mentioned there was a good store in Des Moines, but they didn't know the name of it. And it turns out it was closed, but they Googled and found us. And they've been coming ever since. Must have been, there were a few stores in Des Moines. Kimberly lived pretty close here, and she'd been doing Creative Memories and saw our store and checked it out and loves supporting local, took several classes here, came to the make and takes. Let's see, she's moved 4 times since then and not even in Ankeny. But she's still, when she's close, she visits. And Gina, thank you. She's been a huge fan since the beginning. And she's happy that she has a local store.
Bunny says I would go nuts if I lived only a block away.
Bunny, you could work here if you lived a block away.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ruby found us surfing. She moved here from Oklahoma, was Creative Memories. She didn't like double-sided paper, but our video showed her how to use the double-sided papers. And really, Diane, are there any papers that aren't double-sided anymore? It used to be you'd walk up and down our paper aisles because there were not very many double-sided, and you'd have to like flip and look underneath.
We would have to stand on our head to look.
And now they're pretty much all double-sided.
Yeah.
Kay says the daily videos are something she can never miss, and Kay is local. And you guys, Kay has celebrated like 10 of her last 11 birthdays here
with us
at Memory Bound with friends, crafting in our classroom. So, Kay, we love that. And then we got Pat from California that visits her daughter a few times a year.
Or visits us.
Yes, you're right. I think she visits Memory Bound, but luckily her daughter is not far from Memory Bound, so she's got a place to stay, and she can borrow a car so she can get to her destination here at Memory Bound.
She was just here and probably still here.
She's in town for a little bit. She's coming to our holiday open house. So
she's staying that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll probably see her again. She said she feels like family with Memory Bound, and she's really sweet. Sharon says happy anniversary. She was introduced from her friend Mary when visiting her, and she's doing wedding pages in 2006 for her daughter.
I see a scrapbook happening over there, Kelly.
I know. Look at this. Like I said, I want to share because you guys took the time to write this, and I'm kind of condensing some of them, and I might have missed one. I went out this morning and printed everything I could find. Jan says local crafters mentioned us to her, so that's how she learned about Memory Bound when everything was shut down. But you guys, Jan got COVID and was in the hospital with no visitors. Do you remember when, if you went to the hospital, you couldn't even have visitors? I just can't imagine. And she had COVID and 2 bacterial pneumonias. So the videos helped her keep her sanity every morning. And Dawn and Katie brought a chuckle. Coffee spitting, good fun. So there has been some coffee spitting. Yep. And then they came to visit us, which is awesome. They loved it. She said Memory Bound's been a blessing, and we hear that quite often. Let's see. Rhonda came across the Tuesday Technique videos. Diane, remember those?
Yes, man.
Those were fun. I loved editing those videos. If you go out to our YouTube and you see those are quite different from these videos because they'll be, someone will be here and then they slide off and then they slide back on but the techniques are still really good. She was the best part of getting to visit Memory Bound in person with her friend of 60 years, Marilyn. And Diane, you remember, I got to read this one. This is from Tammy, who was a great high school friend of mine, and she worked for us when we opened.
She did.
And she says, Kelly and I go way back, not going to say how far back, but we may have graduated from high school together. So when she and Dawn were going to open Memory Bound, I jumped at the chance to work with them. I have way too many happy memories of Memory Bound. I started working there the first day it opened. I continued until October of 2009. She's been gone that long.
Wow, Tammy, that's been...
Only because her husband got transferred to Oregon, and it was a little too far to commute. She said it's the best place she ever worked, and she'd still be here if he hadn't got transferred. So now she watches her videos. And in the summer, when she's in Iowa to visit her granddaughter, she comes in to visit. And she brought her granddaughters here this last summer to show them where Grandma used to work. And I'm pretty sure she bought them a few stickers. But she says, thanks for all the happy memories. And Kimberly retired 3 years ago, was scrolling on Facebook. She says, there you were. And she loves everything that we have to offer. So thank you, Kimberly. And we make it possible for her to crop in her craft room. Keep doing what you do. Your crew is loved by many. Let's see. Several other people said they found us with the pandemic. Marcia's an Iowa native. She learned about us in college in Ames, and she stops every time she comes back to Iowa State for a game because she now lives in Missouri. Best store ever. Sharon found us pandemic time. Okay, Robin. There's Robin and Melody, and they are the South Dakota sisters.
Yeah, they were just here.
And they were just here, and they were on a shopping excursion to Des Moines and decided to take a different route home. And they checked to see if there was any scrapbooking stores, and lo and behold, they found Memory Bound. I don't know when that was, but they were going right by it, and they've been faithful followers ever since. And they were on one of our bus trips. We didn't even mention we had bus trips.
Oh, yeah.
Kathy Brill says, happy anniversary. She says that we saved her life over and over through the years. So Kathy,
sweet, sweet lady. We miss seeing her.
Yeah, she was here shortly after we opened. She said her daughter and her grandsons always get her gift cards. And then, do you remember the story? We had the silent auction where we were auctioning off things that went to charity. And Sheila and Kathy were bidding on the same item. Sheila outbid Kathy. But you guys, here's what she did. Sheila asked us who Kathy was and had us send the item to Kathy, and they've been friends ever since. And they don't even live by each other. And they've been friends, and they still talk on the phone. So there's
cool.
A lot of friendships that have happened.
There has been.
And then Stacy commented, and Stacy is the daughter of one of our employees, Bonnie, who passed a few years ago. And she said she can't believe it's been 23 years. She remembers coming into Memory Bound after school when her mom worked here, and she'd get to help us price things. And she always got a paper pad when she was done. I'm sure her mom got her whatever, but the best, though, was the memory-bound family that her mom had and all the people she met. Ooh. And that is goosebumpy.
Yes.
I'd say that's goosebumpy.
Bonnie was one of our originals.
She was an original in many ways.
Yes.
Jean says she found us from the back of a craft magazine. Not sure what it was. Then I got to stop on the way to the World Pork Expo in Des Moines, Iowa, on their way to Texas. And she's been hooked ever since. Mary's been a customer since we opened, since before the official store opened. She says it's like Cheers, everybody knows your name. Pretty cool also that the birthday is the same day as hers.
Oh,
happy birthday, Mary.
And there was an anniversary too.
Oh my gosh. Okay, and Effie was just here, and I did not get to see her a couple months, July. But she's coming back again soon, and she found us while watching a crafting video. And after it ended, other videos popped up, and we popped up. So I'm glad we popped up on that. And Chris found us during the pandemic. We were her daily socialization when she started working from home. And Chris is somebody, you guys, she said it would have been boring without us. But she learned how to be a card maker rather than just a scrapbooker. But Chris is somebody that told me she would have one earbud in and she'd be, working away at her computer and listening to Memory Bound in the other ear. I don't know how you do that, but she's pretty sharp. Let's see. Sandy found us during the pandemic. Jody started watching Memory Bound from the beginning. She has a good friend that worked at the area community college. She loves that it's available later. So if you miss lives, you can watch it later. It's their favorite time. All the giggles and laughs are contagious. Kelly, you and your staff are amazing. She was in Saturday, and she was really amazed that people remembered her name. Sometimes we know a name and we know a face, or we know a name and we know where you're from, but we don't always put them together.
And then we have to go ask somebody, now, what's her name? Here's a good one from Rebecca. Kelly, you made my grandson's Riker's day when you mentioned him on the live.
Oh, my gosh.
He loves to watch and hit the heart button.
Oh, my gosh. I love that. I love that. Let's see. Nancy she goes back to our Ames. She used to shop at our Ames store, which was a day trip going to Ames. And Mary says, wow, 23 years, amazing. And Mary's been a customer since the beginning. She had a daughter that was Dawn's daughter's age, and they played soccer together. And then another daughter was a cheerleader with Diane's daughter. Yep. And then Bonnie that worked here that we just mentioned was a neighbor. So she kind of had a lot of connections to Memory Bound. And she's moved away, but she still comes back to visit. We get to see her. Yep. And Kathy grew up in Des Moines but moved away, but she's visited several times. And she swears those creative, funny, uplifting videos were the only thing that got her through the pandemic shutdown. And there's so many people that say that. I'm not even reading them all, you guys. So,
well, I think it not only saved them, but it
saved us
pretty
too.
Much saved us
too.
If we hadn't started, because we were shut down for what?
Like maybe, was it 8 weeks or something?
8 weeks.
When the pandemic hit, the first thing we did was we're like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And then we started moving into our online store more. Our online store before the pandemic was mostly like gift cards and signing up for classes. And so we shifted our business, and we're still here.
And really,
probably because of that.
With the videos, it really saved us.
Let's see here. There's just so many comments about loving Memory Bound, you guys. I could go on and on all day long. Teresa doesn't remember how she found us, but she's glad she did. She loves how we incorporate joy and fun into everything. She lives in Illinois, but she still comes twice a year. Lisa found us when she was here for Stamp Joy. Cherie has been a customer for a long time. Cherie is a local yokel. I like to say local yokel just because it's kind of fun. And she's learned from us from the Iowa Scrappers. I don't know. That was a Facebook group. I don't know if they still exist. But if they do in your Iowa, you should join it. Kathy said Crafty Kathy's not sure when she found Memory Bound, but she found a picture of her here at our store in November 21. And she definitely follows Memory Bound. And Deborah found us when she's doing a genealogy. She was on a genealogy Facebook page that posted about Janet. We mentioned Janet. If you're doing any genealogy, family history, check out Janet's.
Yep, Janet did
on Facebook.
She linked some of her videos, which are very good.
Now, Peggy was recently here. She's been a groupie, I like that, since the beginning of the pandemic, of course. And she loves the techniques. And her friend and her just visited us recently and love that they were made to feel so welcome. We took pictures. You guys look on Facebook, her pictures on Facebook. And she said Merry Makers is a favorite. It's like Christmas in a box when you get it, and it's a fun weekend, so keep that coming. Susan wrote a book. It does mention you, Diane. It says you check in products so fast. I'm amazed how you all shuffle the store around and put products out quickly. Anytime I've called in, everyone goes above and beyond and helpful. You know, we have a lot. We got to give credit to all those people at the other end of the phone too.
Yes, we have done a lot of shopping for a lot of customers.
Let's see. She likes the store tours when we do store tours. Talented makers. Oh, okay, I remember now. Her husband is an over-the-road truck driver who passes by our store weekly, and so she's had him pick things up for her. But she says now the price of diesel, it's easier to just use our super fast shipping. So that's kind of cool, isn't it, to have your truck driver husband stop by and pick up your stuff? All right, and then Peggy says, we're about at the end here. Peggy says her husband was transferred from San Antonio, Texas to Des Moines 12 years ago, and she was lost because she was a Texas girl. Peggy, I hope you're watching.
Yeah.
And so scrapbooking, she ventured out because scrapbooking was her hobby, and she had her own little group that met weekly. So she Googled and found Memory Bound and came and visited us and was excited to see the store, the classes, the make and takes. And one sweet lady I met there was so wonderful. She had a class the next day, and Peggy didn't have any of her tools. So Janet told her no problem and shared all her tools so she could take the class. And then she said you couldn't drag her away from the store. And I love all the ladies there. It is indeed my happy place. Well, you guys, she's back in Texas, unfortunately, but she still visits us online and visits occasionally.
Letha's jealous of all the understanding husbands you ladies have.
I know, like the truck driver. Okay, and there's this story is not even in here, but Diane, I don't remember who it was, but it was a California customer.
Oh,
did she talk about
Jennifer?
Was it Jennifer?
Yes.
When they were going to South Dakota on vacation, and they drove out of their way. How many hours to come to Memory Bound?
Oh yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, and there was another one that her husband. She was in California. Her husband was passing through on business, stopped and FaceTimed.
Oh yes,
her,
yes. That was funny. We got pictures of that. But this gal, I'm sorry I don't remember your name if you're watching, but I remember you guys were going to South Dakota, and somehow you talked your husband in.
She was from California.
Yes.
Yes.
Talked him into coming to Ankeny, Iowa on your way, and it was out of their way so many hours, and she chuckled.
6 hours.
She was kind of chuckling because she said, I don't think he realizes that it was so many hours getting to Memory Bound, but then it was that many hours getting back out of their way. So there are some really good support people in the Memory Bound family too, and we appreciate all of them.
Yes. Oh man, they're just.
I'm gonna have to go read all those comments.
Kelly will go back.
This was from like yesterday, so all of this.
You customers are.
And I'm sorry if I missed
fabulous.
yours. I went out and I made copies of everything. Just lots of happy anniversary messages, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. What gets my husband is when I say, somebody brought us cookies or cupcakes,
that's good to mention
or just a treat for all of us, and my husband just rolls his eyes and he goes, I don't think I would ever consider taking cookies to Home Depot.
To Home Depot? I love it. I know. It is really sweet, and it makes us feel really special.
Oh my gosh, yes. Our table is full of...
It is. Even your kind words.
Yes.
You just don't know how much that means. If you see a project that we've made and you remake it and you tell us about it or send us a picture, that's very rewarding, and and all of you that said we saved you from the pandemic or bad times. That really, really warms my heart. I know that's a silly cliche, but it is very true. And we appreciate all of you. I appreciate the Memory Bound staff. Thanks to all of them, we're still here. And thanks to you too. For our anniversary, we are giving out the Echo Park birthday ephemera. So we've got a lot of these. So if you want to celebrate our birthday, we'll be sending this out to you today. And what else have I forgotten anything?
This is a good one from, it's a long one. Janine from Montana. She just said, I found Memory Bound a year ago. I've been watching every morning at 8:30.
Oh, that's so
Thank
sweet.
you all for making me laugh and for all the inspiration you give me every day.
Well, thank you. You know, we did thank all of our staff, but we also have to thank the staff members and our guests that are willing to come on here and do their demos and show things and teach you things. They love doing that, and because I'm going to tell you, Kelly doesn't have a 5-day-a-week inspiration or crafty idea for you, but we, between all of us, it takes a full team.
It does. It takes a village.
Even our staff that maybe aren't doing demos, but they make projects or they answer the phone, they take care of your orders, they put out freight. It all works.
It takes all of us.
And then some. So if we don't have any more questions, I guess we'll say goodbye.
Yeah.
And thank all of you for joining us today. And Yippee, Memory Bound is 23. Have a crafty day.
Going strong.
And be back tomorrow because Alicia is here with Tim Holtz Makes, and you're going to love that too. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks.